Carrie, thanks so much for joining me today. For those who don't know who you are, can you just give a brief introduction of who you are and kind of your background? To give them a sense of who you are.
You bet. Thanks, Kate, for having me. My name is Carrie Jacobs. I am the Executive VP of Operations at True Vision Institute in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I have been in the ophthalmology space for more than 2 decades, let's just put it that way,
That's awesome.
in practice leadership. And I'm also the current ASOA president and, very, very involved in the ophthalmic community. I love to give back to the profession that has given me so much.
Mm, That's awesome. And so the Refractive Surgical Council's report just came out and, showed a big decline in, refractive procedures. If a practice is struggling right now, if they're experiencing kind of what that report indicated, what advice or feedback would you give them, just given your extensive knowledge running a practice? I love the fact that you're a part of the community in such a way because you see into a lot of other practices in different markets. And so kind of what advice would you share with practices who are really kind of struggling right now?
That is such a relevant question. And right now, I've had the luxury of seeing recessions before and living through this more than more than numerous times.
Mm,
And I would say one of the strongest pieces of advice that I can give is don't go dark, right? So the first thing I think that practices tend to hold back on is their marketing efforts.
mm,
And I think now is the time where you want to stay visible and relevant. While the general consumer may be nervous and not moving forward, they're still listening to the conversations. So I think if there is no voice that you're out there, I think that is actually going to hurt you. We saw this in our practice. Actually, we changed, and not because of any concerns, but we changed digital marketing companies, and we
mm,
created a new website. And so we actually went dark on our
mm,
Google ads for a period of time, and we definitely saw a decrease right away just because
mm,
we didn't have that relevant voice out there. And I also
mm,
think too, from the RSA statistics and information, where LASIK volume is down, we're seeing alternatives to LASIK becoming a more searchable. Um,
mm.
what people are looking for is what else is there to LASIK. So I think putting those targeted campaigns around LASIK and LASIK alternatives, as well as cataracts and lens options, I think keeps the conversation more relevant to those consumers that are looking for solutions, but may not necessarily like what they're seeing about LASIK specifically.
Yeah, that's really good. So, what are some things that you, as a practice leader, have done in some of these other downturns, or this downturn specifically, that you really kind of focused on? Like, was it organizational in nature? Was it doubling down on marketing? Like, what are some practical things you did as a practice leader to kind of work the practice through, a challenging season, however long it lasted?
Yeah, I think whenever there is a slowdown, it is the opportunity to refine the patient experience, right?
Mm,
Really look at all of your processes, look at what patients are receiving from your practice, even reworking how you're answering the phone, really
mm,
looking at that patient journey from every step along the way. Walk in that patient's shoes from the uh, first contact form that's filled out or the phone call all the way through your practice experience and look where you can make some refinements and make it more of a human experience. I think that the consumer today is becoming so desensitized in healthcare that when you do provide a different level of experience, they're more likely to share that with other people. So it
mm,
is critical. You want to keep the doors open and the lights on, but you can use that opportunity in that time where there is a little bit more breathing room to actually look at how you're appearing on the inside of
mm.
your practice as well as the outside.
Hmm. Yeah, it's really good. I appreciate you even talking about like what are they experiencing at the contact us form. I think a lot of practices think that patient experience starts when they walk through your door, but it actually starts well before that in terms of your brand, your marketing, your content, how you're educating, how you're positioning yourself in the market, how you're responding when they raise their hand and say, "Hey, I'm interested." Are they on hold for 5 minutes? Do they get a voicemail instead of a person? Do they get followed up with at all? So I love the fact that you highlighted that as a part of the patient experience. In your experience, how have you approached marketing, during challenging times? Have you spent more? Have you just doubled down on what you're doing? Do you audit it? Like what has been kind of your approach to evaluating marketing in the past?
Yeah, it can be very scary to, think about adding more dollars to your marketing budget in a downturn. I think that there's a happy medium. You have to definitely keep the lights on. You have to keep your brand messaging out there, but yeah, you do have to have a little bit of a balance too. As I said earlier, don't go dark. Try to maintain your budget. If you do
Hmm.
need to cut back a little bit, be very strategic about what is actually working and how do you hit those, those deeper in the funnel patients versus just throwing out there and only getting high funnel leads because, while those leads are all good, they need to be nurtured a lot longer where you
Yeah.
want to get, you want to get people in the seats in your office and not just a lot of action without any progress.
Yeah, that's really good. I do think it's really dangerous just kind of in a panic to start stripping everything back,
It is.
almost just to kind of make yourself feel good in the short term without actually understanding the impact. Like, are you changing something that's actually the only thing driving new patient leads? Or are you changing something like to your point, where it's top of funnel, less risk, than bottom of funnel, which are really kind of filling up your seats right now. So
Mhm.
that's really good advice.
But
You're, you're, you're,
it's looking at that balance though too, Kate, because if you're just keeping the same initiatives going that are only hitting those top of the funnel leads and not actually pushing through, make adjustments
hmm,
because just because you're getting a ton of leads but no one's actually booking an appointment is not you're not actually hitting the right
yeah.
time in that sales cycle.
Yeah, that's really good. And I think taking the time and having the patience to analyze all that oftentimes is a clinic's biggest challenge.
Yes.
And so that's really well said. And your work in the broader community of ophthalmology and with other clinics and other practice leaders and things of that nature, do you think, generally speaking, people are kind of giving up on LASIK and kind of trying to move in other directions, or do you think they still have some fight in them and want to kind of lean into that and figure out a way through it?
I think that it would be short-sighted
Hmm.
to really be banking only on LASIK. And unfortunately, for some practices, that is really, they have an excimer laser. They don't have a lot of other tools in the tool chest. But I do think that it's quite short sighted to not be thinking about using more lenses and alternatives to LASIK. Um,
Hmm.
I think just in general, what we're finding in our practice is there is a more of a desire to move toward lenses from the patient's perspective. We have
Hmm.
patients actually walking in the door saying, I would rather have a lens than a laser on my eye. And so we've actually increased our EVO ICL usage while the LASIK volume has decreased. It hasn't disappeared. But from an overall standpoint, while we may be down overall, we could be down a lot more significantly if it wasn't for having the lenses.
Makes a lot of sense. I asked that question just because it's so perplexing to me. I had LASIK surgery myself about 3 to 4 months ago, and it was just the most remarkable experience I've ever had with any kind of medical procedure. It was affordable, it was quick, it was painless. The recovery, I had surgery with Dr. Slade. I go back to my hotel. I sleep for 3 hours. I wake up. It got like no discomfort. I can see for the first time without glasses or contacts since I was in fifth grade. And so it's just like, it's
Amazing.
so perplexing to me, kind of the perception that people have on LASIK. And so thanks for sharing that insight. And yeah, it's a real head scratcher for me, just given how remarkable my own experience has been.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it's what we've known for decades.
Yeah.
But I do think that, when you look at the information from the Refractive Surgery Council and even just what we're seeing anecdotally, if if the number one search engine now is TikTok, and you're looking at LASIK on TikTok, it is all about disasters. And you see these videos of like red eyes and crying people. And of course, it's going to create this huge fear when that's such a small percentage of the population, but
Small.
yet,
Hmm.
but that is what's creating the fear. And even talking to our own patients, they are picking up their device and Googling in the exam chair while they're questioning what they're being told by the doctor sitting in front of
Wow.
them. It's
Wow.
crazy how people are looking online at what other people are saying and getting
Mm,
all of that conflicting information. They're not getting the wow effects. They're not getting all of the
mm.
happy patients like you. I mean, I smile when you were saying how amazing of an experience it has been for you because that's normal.
Normal.
What's not normal is the bad experiences.
Yeah. It is so interesting how a handful of first of all, we have no context to those videos, right? It's like we don't even know that it was the physician's fault. We know so little about those videos. It's kind of hard to even know what's true and not. But you're right. It's just the sheer volume of good experiences are simply just not being shared, which is I think a real challenge. We could keep pulling on that thread, but any last piece of advice you would give a practice kind of in this season that we're in, coming off of that report everyone reviewed, and like you said, anecdotally already feeling without even needing that report to say it.
Absolutely. I think when volume is down, the temptation is to go into survival mode, right? But the smartest practices will take the time to reset, to reinforce their messaging, and even to re engage those cold leads and even patients that they may have seen years ago, right? Just stay visible, stay credible, and double down on the experience. The momentum will come back. But
Yeah.
what you do now determines how fast and how strong.
That's really good. Thank you so much for joining me, Carrie. I really appreciate you sharing all this insight and taking the time to do so.
Thanks for having me, Kate. It's always fun to talk with you.